This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. We have a hell of a program lined up for you today over the next 3 hours. Tons on tonight's massive Thursday night football game. Loser leaves town match, like Ric Flair taking on the Hands of Stone back in the 1980s. We'll talk about that a lot. Line movement as well. That took place in the last 2 hours. Paul Charchian, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer. You know, the fantasy playoffs start after this week, basically. So, or this week. Brad Powers on the program. He's going to be great on college football. Mike Buckmiller and James Sullivan on the program talking Survivor. Mike Buckmiller has won Circa Survivor before, and he is alive still. He's one of the 45. I couldn't. You told me that he survived this past weekend. I was like, get the hell out of here. Did he really?
Yeah.
And he did.
Yep. He used the Bears onions.
Oh.
Yep.
So they're going to be in studio coming up a little bit later on.
And it's very important because somebody wants to sell. One of the 45 remaining people wants to sell pick control. So if you want to get nuts, let's get nuts.
Wow. So they're going to be offering 51% or more of that entry is my guess. All right. So why do you think we had some movement on tonight's big game earlier today, where at every sports book, the Lions went up to 3.5. Here at Circa, minus 105. Several books have them minus 110. And on the money line, now the Cowboys are available at plus 150 or higher.
I think a lot of people are aware of the 13-1 ATS off a loss and the 14-0 straight up, right? Oh, they didn't cover against the Giants, and we're fortunate to get out of there alive. Could be St. Brown news, who's a game-time decision.
Yeah, he seems iffy.
I can tell you, though, other than our crazy friend Richie Sidorowicz, he's the only guy who likes Detroit. I mean, Dallas is very popular here as well. Number one, I think they're the better team. Number two, the Lions are in a tough spot with all these injuries, and Dallas is hot. How do you get in front of this freight train right now, the way they're cooking, and how they fix the defense and the offense is so good? If you couldn't stop Winston, and he's making it rain out there, how are you going to slow down this Dallas offense, right? To me, you have too many injuries, and you're banged up on the O-line. You're down 2 tight ends. You could be down St. Brown. You're throwing to guys like Tom Kennedy and Taslaw, right? You're not going to have success on the ground. It could be Goff under pressure. So here's
the deal,
it's awesome. It's a playoff game.
Yep.
But the numbers. If Detroit loses, you're down to like 20% to make the playoffs. If Dallas loses, it's under 7%. So this is just phenomenal, and it's certainly the season on the line for both teams.
So I keep loading up on this game. I've been betting this game since Black Friday, when the number was Detroit 3.5. It was after Thanksgiving when the Lions lost and the Cowboys won. I'm like, I don't get this number. I have to bet the Cowboys right now. And I've been betting it throughout the entire week. I have the Cowboys as low as, I think, plus 144 on the money line, all as high as plus 155. And I have plus 3. I have plus 3.5 multiple times. I bet, and I added more to it today after the number moved yet again. So here's what's going to happen. It's going to be a repeat of the Clippers and Hawks last night in the NBA. The number never made any sense.
I know.
The Clippers did not get into Atlanta until like later on in the day. They had problems with their plane. And then right before tip-off, Jalen Johnson, he's out of the game for the Hawks, not playing, and it was never a contest. Clippers blew him out pretty much.
Yep.
So
and the Pistons couldn't beat the Bucks in freak out.
No, and they were up by 20 before you could blink.
I like your angle earlier in the week. Last year, 47. No one's talking about this. 47-9 last year.
Yeah.
That was the worst home loss under Jerry Jones.
I watched that entire game because I had future tickets out the wazoo on the Lions last year, and I was dancing with them. But they embarrassed the daylights out of the Cowboys. The Cowboys were demoralized during that beatdown.
Yes. Yep. 5th time since 1970. Both teams are averaging 375 yards a game and 29 points per game. Dallas, second in points, number 1 in yards. Detroit, number 3 in yards, number 3 in points per game. I mean, I got more action than a John Wick movie here with the props. And the stuff there's over 200 different ways to bet the game at Caesars. I'll give out some more coming up, but also not to mention anytime touchdown candidates. First touchdown of the game could be crazy. Kramer! We'll hear from him later. Maybe it's a sign. I went down here at Circa and grabbed the sheet with all the props. Player to score the first touchdown, Ferguson was marked. There was an X next to it.
Well, you better
at
bet him
15
then.
to 1. Yeah, right. So
you're going to hate yourself if you don't. It
but
cashes.
a big story here, too, is the injuries and how many guys are out. You're not going to have Clowney. You're not going to have Guyton. You see St. Brown's status. Several guys are questionable. We already ran through the defensive guys who were out yesterday on the show that have been already ruled out for Detroit. But I would expect fireworks here that there's so many weapons. And you could see, and again, it doesn't seem that hard to pull off. But if it can't be St. Brown, Williams and Lamb can't have 10 yards each quarter? That's 20 to 1. There's so much stuff like this we can talk about.
That's exactly right. So there's also an angle here that what if the Lions can't run the football and get it going behind a shaky offensive line against a front for the Cowboys that has allowed 69.7 rushing yards per game in their last three, second best in the entire league behind Jacksonville. They've allowed 3.9 rushing yards per attempt in the last three games, and an EPA per play of 0, which is middle of the pack, but a negative 0.1 rushing EPA per play in the last three games. Now, again, full year numbers aren't pretty, but since the deadline in last three games, they're very, very good. And if you go back and look again, since the Las Vegas game, and I really don't even want to include the Raiders game because they're so bad, but they killed them that day, outgaining them by more than 150 yards. They also outgained Philly 473 to 339, and they were trailing 21-0 and completely shut them down. They outgained KC 457 to 362. They've also out-first downed these teams by at least 4 or more in the last three games. There's also this. Dak Prescott has taken 2 sacks in those three games. The Dallas defense, though, now they only have 7, but they've also only punted 6 times in those three games, 13 by their opponents. So they're keeping Dak clean, and they are finishing drives for the most part. And when you go back and look, from weeks 2 through 5, the Lions were incredible. Arguably, that stretch of football, they were the best team in the league. They had a 31-point win over Chicago. They went to Baltimore on that Monday night, did whatever they wanted. They killed Cleveland at home. That's a very good Browns defense. 34-10, never a game. They absolutely wiped out Cincinnati. It was 37-24. Wasn't that close. Since then, a 30-17 loss to Kansas City that got away from them. They beat Tampa Bay. Good for them. They lost to J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. Gave up 27 points.
How bad does that look?
Yep. They couldn't do anything against Philadelphia, scored 9 points. The win over the Giants, I would call it Fugazi, should have lost 34-27 on overtime.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't pretty on Thanksgiving Day against Green Bay.
And the fourth down magic is gone. 0 for their last 7 on fourth down. What does that mean with play calling? And will he maybe try field goals? That's another thing to monitor and look at. Also, they're going to bring heat and unleash hell. He had no time to throw against the Eagles. I don't think they can protect him. And from a prop standpoint, if they can't protect him, I think it's a lot of dump-offs. And I would look at Montgomery and Gibbs, yards and receptions over as well. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I can't believe I'm talking about this. Is this a Tom Kennedy game?
It could be.
I mean, the Tom Kennedy. And the Guru was making a case, and Charch is going to make the case for Taslaw coming up too. He's in the low 30s. But maybe Kennedy does something. But this is going to be, because Williams is too obvious, right? I mean, if you're Eber,
way too, yeah.
Well, number one, if you're Eberflus, if there's no St. Brown, you double him and make these other guys beat you, who they promoted and called up from the practice squad. And it's just, you got to take your chances. And plus, you can blitz them and force the dump offs as well. But you couldn't stop McCarthy, you couldn't stop Winston, and now here comes one of the hottest offenses in the league. Yeah,
and to your point, here's the combo of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Since Lamb came back from injury, it's now been 6 games. Against KC, Lamb, 7 for $112, a touchdown. Pickens, 6 for 88. Against Philadelphia, Lamb, 4 for 75. Pickens, 9 for 146 and a touchdown. Against the Raiders, they each scored. They combined for 14 catches, more than 200 yards. Both guys against Arizona, 7 for 85, 6 for 79. They got killed against Denver. They still produced. Against Washington, they ate all day long. Like, there's not against this secondary with the Lions, a secondary in which allowed Wicks to have 6 for 94 and 2 touchdowns on Turkey Day. Watson had 4 for 80 and a touchdown. The week before, Wan'Dale Robinson had 9 for 156 and a touchdown. Like, it's the Cowboys and Dak Prescott here are going to pretty much do whatever I think they want offensively.
How nuts do you want to get? If they win 7-5-1, Minnesota at home, Chargers at home, at Washington, at New York, oh boy, this can happen.
Well, I think now is the time you got to do it. You got to do it before they win tonight.
Because Jalen Carter's also out Monday night, too.
Yeah, sure.
This division could really get interesting.
Yeah. I mean, look, I poo-pooed this a month ago. I'm not going to say Dak to win the MVP, but I'm going to say, I brought this up in Real Fugazi. It was either this week or Black Friday. I said this team's making the NFC title game for the first time in 30 years. I think there's absolutely an angle where that's going to happen. I think this is the last team I want to play in the playoffs.
Yeah. But even if Detroit wins, they're still in trouble, though. Because you got swept by the Packers, and you have to go to Los Angeles, at Minnesota, and at Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to handle Pittsburgh at home. But then again, maybe not. If you couldn't slow down the Giants and were fortunate to win that game.
I will say this about Jameson Williams. His prop was 88.5 earlier in the week. That bad boy's down to 80-ish right now. 80.5 is a low. I see a 79.5 out there.
Dak has moved big time, too, with the passing yards.
Yep. Win, lose up next.
Yep.
And you really want to get nuts. Someone here at VSiN thinks there's a player tonight worth a look at a huge number for an award. You'll hear the explanation why coming up next.
If you're serious about football betting, VSiN's got your weekend game plan. Fridays at 7 p.m., it's the Circa Friday Football Invitational. Saturday morning, VSiN's college football tailgate show at 9 a.m., breaking down matchups, props, and big-time bets. Later that night, join the football contest show as the sharpest betting minds give you their picks for Sunday's game. And Sunday at 9 a.m., lock in with Mitch and Paulie on VSiN's Pro Football Tailgate Show. Your final stop before kickoff. Check out the full lineup at VSiN.com and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, a network of sports betting analysts, writers, hosts, and handicappers, all here to help you become a more confident bettor. We broadcast live every day from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world, and from studios across the country, giving you insight from every angle of the action. Take VSiN with you wherever you go with the VSiN Watch app, or catch us on streaming platforms and regional sports networks. You can also listen live on SiriusXM Channel 158 and on radio stations nationwide. Check out VSiN.com as well for betting tools, exclusive betting splits, AI-powered player prop projections from Opta, pro picks for every game, plus in-depth betting guides and articles built to give you an edge. From sharp betting analysis and daily best bets to insider interviews and expert breakdowns, VSiN is your trusted source for everything happening in the world of sports betting. See everything we have to offer at VSiN.com and become part of the Sports Betting Network.
Friday's edition of Money Moves, we've got a good one for you. The man himself, Mike Palm, is going to join us as we get ready on a Football Friday for a loaded slate both Saturday and Sunday. Championship weekend begins. We'll discuss every single game on Friday night, look ahead to Saturday, and we'll have our best bets for the National Football League. This favorite is going down. I'll tell you which one it is, and a look at the NBA with Zach Cohen. So join us. It's Money Moves, 11 to 1 Pacific, 2 to 4 Eastern, here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Wild night in the NBA. Spurs plus 270 on the money line. Blazers 4-1, pounded the Cavs on the road. Nets plus 270. Bet down from 11 to 7.5. Bucks plus 160. Came back to beat the Pistons.
Yeah, Giannis plays 3 minutes, calf injury.
Yep.
Everybody's panicking. They come back after a huge deficit, win the game outright. Sure they do.
Mavs plus 170. Nemhard 15 points plus 450.
Okay, now this really pisses me off.
Well, come on, Las Vegas.
There was one sports book, I think, nationally that put up his props. That was it.
What's that all about?
I have no
Starting
idea.
Point guard.
Starting point guard. Put the props on the board.
3 games in a row, he's crushing it. Absolutely get the props up. Jamal Murray, 40 points, 20-1. How about 50? He's the third different Nugget to score 50 in a game this season. And it was the second most efficient, or he's had the 2 biggest games going back the last 30 years. 50 points, I think 70% shooting, and 2 or fewer turnovers.
Yeah, I saw a stat about how he and Gordon now, 50-plus points and 10-plus threes in the same game. Like, first time it's happened, I think, by teammates ever. And that makes sense, obviously.
Yeah. North Alabama, 14-1 on the money line. Shocked San Francisco.
Wow.
Minnesota plus 375. Richmond plus 230. Wisconsin from 7 up to 10.5. Capitals did it again. Goal in the first 10. 16-1 run. EPL leads 3-1. Beat Chelsea. Liverpool Sunderland draw plus 450. Subscribe, be part of the team. VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in. We'll put you on. This was on the news. This is definitely a scary situation. A bear was living in a crawl space for nearly a week in California. Look at the size of this beast coming in. The owner thought he heard a noise, and then he looks out. These guys going for a walk. Look at him living in a crawl space.
That was his home for a week.
Yeah. I mean, I think of the Revenant. Imagine if this guy gets a running start or you get in his way.
No, this guy looks friendly.
Here he
you don't
is.
have to worry about that.
Just going for a stroll in the front yard, walking down. Yeah, for a week, just hanging out down there. Made a little home. The owner's like, what the hell's that noise?
Now,
what's going on down there? It's a big fella.
What is your level of panic if that's your home and it's a bear compared to other, like, animals or pests?
Oh, I got to get a hotel.
I don't think I panic with a bear compared to other animals.
You don't panic? Invite them in?
I think so.
Yeah?
I've seen those
Want
videos
some
on
honey?
TikTok with, like, Russians and how they handle bears and how they get all cuddly.
Send that to me, Luke. I got to put that up. That's incredible. Although that was national news, what was going on. Thanks to the viewer who sent this in. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot the name. But the dogs watch win-lose every single day. Here's the dogs reacting to the dog videos on win-lose. Coming up, 3 of them jumping up, barking. Look at this guy. He wants a piece of the TV screen.
He wants to rip the mantle off.
Yeah, right. They're both getting up there. Great job. That's a good-looking home. Nice carpet as well. Excellent. Thanks for sending them in. Lose some also soccer, Premier League. Wolverhampton. Been shut out 5 in a row.
Wow.
Missed it. I hate these matches during the week, especially now that we're on the air.
I forget about
it.
them.
Yeah, because it was chaos. Man City played a 5-4 game. How good was that in play? And a horrific beat. Thanks to Pete Hamill for sending this in. BC against LSU. Boston College was catching 7.5. They led by 4 with a minute left. You never want the dog in overtime.
Ever.
They lost by 9 in overtime. Led by 4 with a minute. Getting 7.5. Or the line move. Sharp plays already there. They don't just follow the market. They help shape it. You're not going to outsmart billion-dollar books or full-time sharps on your own. Advanced AI. Trusted and proven insider sources active across all sports. Free daily reports, real-time betting alerts, market-moving insights straight to your inbox or X-feed. Since 2011, they've backed it up with documented results, public logs, and transparent receipts. SharpPlays.com. Trusted by pros, monitored by the books. Stay ahead of the line. SharpPlays.com. Get there now.
Want to get nuts? Come on.
Let's get nuts! Have some guts to connect. Good old, have some guts. Show some guts. A little guts here. Now you want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. Guts.
Love it. Love it.
Well, you love the game with props tonight. I just love the Cowboys. So get nuts, Paulie. What do you have?
There's a lot of stuff here. Each quarterback to have 25 completions is plus 450.
All right, total shootout then.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Dak to have a passing touchdown in each quarter, 20-1. Doesn't seem that difficult. Make it rain out there tonight. It's a pretty good price. Both quarterbacks combined for 650 passing yards, plus 450. Got a total in the mid-50s. Anything's possible. Lamb and Williams, 10 yards each quarter, 20-1.
Jameson, Williams, CD Lamb. Man, again, these props, This is why you like running them down. They just seem too easy.
Montgomery and Gibbs combined 200 rushing yards, 10-1.
That's not happening.
Nope. Williams and Pickens combined 250, plus 450.
I think Pickens is the guy tonight
Could
here.
be.
Yeah. I think Charch is going to expand on that coming up, by the way, when he joins the program today.
Gibbs and Williams, 25 yards each half, plus 325. 50 is 70-1, though. Meek and House one on a dump-off.
Wow.
Williams, 5 yards each quarter, 2-1. I mean,
that's Jameson or
That's
Javonte?
Jameson.
Jameson.
5 yards each quarter, 2-1. Are they really going to get beat and cut up by Tom Kennedy?
Well, it might
Or
be
Hayden-
It might be Tesla.
Or Hayden Rucci? Come on.
I love that name.
I got to look at the running backs, too. Yeah, Montgomery's 8-1 most rushing yards in the game. I like him anytime touchdown. And I think if he gets inside the 10, it's feed him and put your shoulder down. Get in there. Tesla, most receiving's 14-1. Kennedy's 30.
I think you could get a...
Gibbs is 20. That's not bad.
For the dump-offs?
Remember the Eagle game?
Yeah, I wish the Cowboys had another candidate. I'll tell you that. Malik Davis looked awesome on Turkey Day. Maybe it's him. Most rushing yards in the game tonight. I think there's an angle here where the Cowboys shut down the Lions running game, and then it could be just... I'd like to bet on a mobile quarterback, but neither one of these guys really like to get out and scoot that much.
Well, it's funny that the AI projections and the props, they have Goff, they like Goff over rushing.
What is it, a half
but
yard?
Dak under, it's half. They have him going for 3.5. There's also some good game specials, too. Let me get that. Scoring specials. Some of these, again, if you think it's going to be a crazy game, anyone scores 40 points is 3-1. Each team to score in all 4 quarters is 4-1. A field goal each quarter is 6-1. Each team has a touchdown and a field goal in each half is 10-1. Octopus is 15-1.
Octopi.
Each team has 2 rushing and 2 passing touchdowns is 14-1. Each team has a rushing and a passing touchdown in each half, 50-1. Played that too. Come on.
Charch has a plus 850 prop that he likes tonight. So he's going to get a little nuts.
And I did, if you want to go contrarian, no touchdown is 250-1.
I would need 500 to win.
I would need 5, yes, as well.
Yep. You really
Great
want to
job.
get nuts. How about an award? So this is from one of the podcasts here on the VSiN network called Pod to the Futures. I host this weekly with Jonathan Von Tobel. I was out this week, but Von Tobel here, listen to this. He found a number on Dak Prescott, and it's not to win the MVP.
How does it jive that Dak Prescott is 15-1 to win MVP? Minus 165 to win Comeback Player of the Year. But 500-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year? When you have guys in front of him right now. For example, George Pickens at 80-1 has better odds to win Offensive Player of the Year than Dak Prescott.
Well, 500. It's like the bit that we play during In Pocket every day on this program. You give me 10,001 odds in anything, I got to bet it. 500 is not 10,000, but is there an angle here where Prescott could actually push the Cowboys into the playoffs, does not get the MVP, because that's going to be Matthew Stafford in theory?
Yeah, wouldn't McCaffrey get comeback too?
Under that, yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
Although, yeah.
And then he could actually get the award. Now, how often does a quarterback actually win it?
Yeah.
It's not like it's every year, but Mahomes did win it in 2018 when he won the MVP as well. Matt Ryan won it in 2016. Cam Newton won it in 2015. Peyton Manning in 2013. Drew Brees 2011. Tom Brady 2010. So that is a lot of examples when you go back 15 years. It's been a ton of running backs and receivers since Mahomes won it in 2018. But 500-1 Prescott, Offensive Player of the Year?
That is weird. That doesn't make sense. 14 MVP, 500
Is
offensive
it
player
worth
of the
a
year.
nibble?
Yeah, it's worth pizza
where
money.
they actually give it to him
Yeah.
because he's never won the MVP either. And they're like, look, I mean, the guy was just so good this year. And people I know were really pushing for Burrow to win an award last year.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I think the narrative really starts to take off tonight if and when the Cowboys win, and Prescott's awesome.
At Caesars, by the way, Dallas' longest made field goal is $1.15. Can you believe it? $1.15 tonight. Now, I know that you could say it's a shootout, but how many times is Campbell going to try a field goal, number one?
Yeah, good point.
But also, you got to put that in your back pocket. Dallas' longest made field goal tonight, $1.15.
Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian on the program. With the playoffs looming, should you sabotage drop Lamar Jackson? He'll explain next.
This Black Friday, VSiN's hooking you up with our biggest deal of the year. Just $60 for full VSiN Pro access through May 1st. That's 6 months of nonstop action from the heart of the NFL season and college bowl games through the Super Bowl, March Mania, the Masters, and the NBA playoffs. Get every VSiN Pro article, betting tool, AI projection, and expert pick, all for just $60. Don't wait. This offer's only for a limited time. Head to VSiN.com/subscribe and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We go heavy fantasy and player props for the next half an hour as Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joins us here in his normal spot on a Thursday as he is on the Progressive guest line. Charch, good to talk to you as always, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I'm just wrapping up inputting my my current song for my fantasy music league, which tells you if you ever had any doubt about my devotion or degeneracy for fantasy sports, know that I also play fantasy music league.
All right. One day we will expand on that, I think, and ask you exactly what the hell you're talking about.
That's a good call, and let's do it in the summer when there's only baseball.
Oh, good. Good. We'll do it then. Until then, a very busy week with the playoffs looming here in fantasy football with millions upon millions of people, a little bit higher heart rate this week than normal. I have Lamar Jackson in at least one league. He did not practice today. Here is something that you created. You're brilliant with this because you've created so many things with fantasy football. But the sabotage drop, explain what that means to the audience who are unaware of that and if they should do it this week.
The premise of the sabotage drop is you drop a brand name player who will ultimately hurt the team that picks this player up. And it's got to be a brand name player like Lamar Jackson. The sabotage drop is the single most badass fantasy maneuver that there is. It takes major stones, the likes of which 90% of your listeners and viewers will not have. But you can do it if you look ahead and you feel like there's an opportunity to hurt another player with hurt another team. Then you go ahead and do it. And for Lamar Jackson, if you'd have sabotage dropped him right when he suffered the hamstring injury back in week 5, that would have worked. Or when he came back and didn't look right, that would have worked too. Because Lamar Jackson, get this, for the last month, Lamar Jackson is the lowest scoring quarterback in the league. He has one touchdown, Aaron Brown combined, one touchdown. He's averaging 192 passing yards and 21 rushing yards. He's obviously not right. He's managing knee, toe, ankle, and the original hamstring injury that knocked him out for a month altogether. So then you look ahead at the schedule with Lamar Jackson. Pittsburgh this week, Cincinnati on deck. Now, he just goose-egged Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. Then the Steelers coming up. If you're not going to start Lamar Jackson in these spots, then go ahead and drop him and see if he's going to hurt somebody else. Do the sabotage drop. I know most people won't have the guts to do it because Lamar Jackson, he's been an amazing fantasy producer, but we know so much of his fantasy success has been built on the running. That's not there, and it doesn't look like it's coming back anytime soon while he's nursing 4 different injuries. So he is an absolute candidate for a sabotage drop. If you decide you've got the stones for it, I'd go for it if you're not going to start him. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati coming up here.
Yeah. I should have done that with Justin Jefferson. I benched him.
Yeah,
I
he was a perfect candidate.
Yep, he really was.
Said.
I should have dropped him.
Interesting. That's a good discussion.
Yep, imagine, and what a great story to tell, right? I dropped Justin Jefferson in the middle of a season, right? And, it would have been an epic, absolutely epic story, and you could have done it seeing Jefferson's trouble coming. We talked about him just last week.
Yep.
The brutal matchup that he had with Max Brosmer coming and the Seattle defense. By the way, Brosmer. Can we just talk for a second about McCarthy and DeBrosmer the last 2 weeks for the Vikings?
I didn't think it was possible. I found a quarterback worse than Spurgeon Wynn, and that's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut for Viking fans right there. The Vikings just went back-to-back games with quarterback passer ratings worse than spiking the ball on every play.
Yeah. Correct.
Consecutive games.
With two different
That's what they got out of J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer. And now they're stuck. Brosmer was so bad against Seattle. They're stuck going back to McCarthy, who's suddenly just fine from his concussion. And now they got to play out the string with the rest of the season with McCarthy and just find out what it looks very apparent that McCarthy is not going to be the long-term solution for this team. As a lifelong Viking fan, I can tell you this is about the lowest spot we've been because both short-term and long-term, there's nothing to feel good about with this organization right now. The short-term, this is a lost season. Long-term, you have an aging roster. They're deeply over the cap for the next 2 years. Next year, they have the third worst cap situation right now. They're $36 million over next year. Aging roster. there's just not. It's right now the Dauber is very down on the Vikings.
What do you make of them being favored then in that matchup, and what does Washington do then if offensively?
Well, I think Washington's going to run the ball. Let's talk about Chris Rodriguez for a minute, who I think there's a really nice angle here from a prop standpoint on Chris Rodriguez, and why I think they're going to run the ball. First, Vikings are seeing more runs than any team because the one thing the Vikings can do to win games is they can disrupt your passing game because they've still got a great pass rush. They've got Brian Flores. You don't want Brian Flores to go win the game with that pass rush. So teams run on the Vikings all the time. And nobody really paying attention to Chris Rodriguez as in the Commanders' backfield. He is, right now he's getting potentially a big workload. So let's talk about Chris Rodriguez going over 35 and a half yards, which is a tiny number for a starter running back, and over 10 and a half carries. Vikings seeing the league's highest run rate and the most opposing rushers per game, 32 rushes per game. If the Vikings are going to see 32 rushes per game, isn't the starting running back going to get to at least 11 of those? And Washington runs the ball ninth most. They run 28 times per game. So here's this window. Washington runs 28 times per game. The Vikings see 32 per game. So the starting running back is going to get to 11 rushes, right? That's Chris Rodriguez. And how about this? Starting running backs against the Vikings this year, 10 of 12 have gone over 10 and a half carries. 10 of 12 have gone over 35 and a half rush yards. The average game for opposing starting runners against the Vikings, 19 carries, 77 yards. Both those numbers are double what we need from Chris Rodriguez to go over 35 and a half yards and 10 and a half carries.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's an incredible breakdown right there.
Good job, my man. What do I do with all these Colts players now with Jones playing with a fractured fibula?
Now, I know that part worries me is the fib. And what we know is that even non-throwing arm injuries can affect the whole motion that the quarterback has got. Look at Jordan Love last year, the groin injury, never threw right the whole season. And I am nervous about that part. But the one part I would like to highlight from the Colts passing game is the emergence of Alec Pierce as the go-to receiver in this offense. They shipped away Adonai Mitchell, and that just freed up a handful of extra snaps and reps for Alec Pierce, who's making good on it. Since the Adonai Mitchell trade in that Sauce Gardner deal, Alec Pierce leads Colts receivers in snaps, routes run, and fantasy points over the last month. And he's legitimately good. Pierce for a long time was just a guy who was out running 9 patterns and just getting like 2 deep shots a game, of which he would usually not catch any. Now he's getting a ton of work. He gets to face the Jaguars secondary this week. And last thing I'll mention about Alec Pierce and why I think he's worth rostering. Jaguars this week, that's a favorable matchup. Fantasy championship week, Jaguars again. So nice opportunity both this week to get you into the playoffs for next week, and then potentially Alec Pierce to help win your league.
Very
in
good.
4 weeks.
One more player here. You're going to hang around for another segment. We'll get into tonight's game, big time, hardcore breakdown with player props here, like including one at plus 850, which I can't wait to hear the breakdown of, coming up with Paul Charchian. Omarion Hampton got hurt, it feels like 3 years ago. In reality, it was only a couple of months. But he was really coming on for the Chargers. Now on Monday night, he gets an Eagles defense with no Jalen Carter all of a sudden. So what are your expectations here as he comes back?
So Hampton could return as early as this week, and that's great this Sunday. You recall at the start of the season, Hampton walked into the starter's role because Najee Harris blinded himself, and then he was cruising through 4 games. He had 4 touchdowns, and his workload was increasing, and it really looked great. And then severe ankle injury, out for 2 months. From here, it looks like, at least short term, it's going to be a timeshare with Kamani Vidal. That's not great. And then the schedule turns honestly kind of brutal. Eagles might be the easiest of the remaining teams left on the schedule because then they go to the Chiefs. That's a top 5 run defense. Cowboys, as we'll talk about next segment, suddenly a very good run defense. And then Houston, also great run defense. This is a tricky spot for Omarion Hampton. You've been sitting on him all this time, waiting to get him back, and we're finally here, and it's a series of tricky matchups, unfortunately.
That really stinks. Never like to have that happen to a rookie, first of all, and then he comes back, and you're like, yep, sorry, guys, you probably don't want to start him anyway because the schedule is so difficult. So
exactly.
Yeah. All right. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We don't have time to get into this right now, but I will. This might be a little Captain Obvious checking in. I'm a little worried as somebody who has Jalen Waddle in at least one of my big leagues, because I think there's a path here where Achane is going to go absolutely crazy over the final 5 games of the year and win leagues by himself.
Yep. I would jump in on that 17-1 most rushing yards.
Most rushing yards in the league.
Yes.
Don't hate it. So Charch is going to hang out for one more segment. Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. We will get into who he likes tonight with a game that could turn out to be an absolute shootout, and he's going to give out a prop that pays around plus 850. Find out what it is next here on VSiN.
VSiN's player prop projection tool is now available for the NBA. Get projections for points, assists, rebounds, and more powered by Opta AI. On VSiN.com/NBA props, we line up our projections against the latest DraftKings odds so you can quickly spot mismatches and find value before the market adjusts. The NBA player prop projections tool is available exclusively to VSiN Pro subscribers. Check it out now at VSiN.com/NBA props and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
Check out Stormy and JVT on Money Moves, only on VSiN.
And maybe that's why they wouldn't, because they're the Giants and they don't do things that make sense.
Out of all these divisions, this is the one that I am the most curious about, because I do think there are positive signs for the Bears.
They'll take you on a fun, fast-paced journey, weaving in everything you need to know to make an educated bet, while also not shying away from the excitement of a same-game parlay sweat. Money Moves, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian as he is on the Progressive guest line. What an unbelievable, on paper, Thursday night game that we have. Cowboys-Lions.
Yes.
And how about this now? Detroit favored by 3.5. The total at several books, including DraftKings, sitting at 55.5 in this game. Oh, man. So if it plays out that way,
baby.
right, Charger's going to have a lot of props that are going to cash, I think, tonight. And to set up who he likes tonight, let's take you back to last Wednesday before the Lions game on Turkey Day against the Packers when he joined us. And he said the guy that you need to attack on Detroit's defense is Amik Robertson, and it applies for tonight's game. Here you go.
Now, here's where I'm going to get nerdy with you guys. Amik Robertson is the cornerback for the Lions. Last week, Jameis Winston and the Giants threw 12 times at Amik Robertson. I can't tell you how unusual this is for anyone cornerback to pick up 12 targets in their coverage. Very unusual. 6 of the 12 were on deep passes of at least 20 yards to Amik Robertson. I'm going to detail all 6 of those targets on Amik Robertson, 20 or more yards. It was a 39-yard gain, a 30-yard gain, a 24-yard gain, an incompletion, a 40-yard gain, and a 39-yard gain with a touchdown. Amik Robertson is slated, he plays on the outside like Christian Watson. He is slated to see a lot of Christian Watson in this game. I love this individual matchup. This is my nerdiest breakdown of you guys all year, but this is how Christian Watson goes over 25.5 yards for longest reception.
And it absolutely came in. Incredible call. But we're also, so here you go. It ties into tonight as well. So what's the play on the Cowboys side?
Yep. First of all, I need a new shirt in my wardrobe, apparently. Little did I realize I'd thrown on the same shirt back-to-back weeks. Good heavens. Maybe I should keep a log of that or something. Wow. It looked like it looks like no time has passed. Anyway, okay, let's get back to Amik Robertson because he's playing tonight. This is a great opportunity to beat him up. He's the Lions cornerback that should not normally be on the field. But Terry and Arnold out, he's stuck. So last 2 games, there have been 13 deep passes at Amik Robertson in 2 games. Of the 13, 8 completions, averaging 34 yards and 5 touchdowns against in 2 games. It's crazy that Robertson's giving this up on balls. So which Cowboy is going to benefit tonight from Robertson's coverage? Well, you just heard he plays on the outside, and that is George Pickens' territory first and foremost. CeeDee Lamb's also a fine start tonight, but Pickens in particular plays the outside way more than he does the slot. And Pickens leads the Cowboys in deep targets, 27 deep targets this year. And how about this physical matchup between George Pickens and Amik Robertson? Robertson is 5'9". Pickens, 6'3", the amazing leaping ability. The contested catches are all going to go to Pickens here. I mean, Robertson guarding George Pickens on a contested catch is like Ariana Grande trying to get between Jelly Roll and the chicken parm at Golden Steer. Pickens, over 26.5 for the longest reception and the anytime touchdown. And I think you got to look at the 2 touchdown possibility at plus 850. The anytime touchdown is plus 125. So I bundle up Pickens here. This could be a gigantic game with this individual matchup of Pickens on Amik Robertson.
Beautiful.
Damn right.
Great as always. By the way, if nothing else, I mean, we have to appreciate your effort there with the analogy, as always.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Strong.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah, no.
It's just okay.
I can't imagine St. Brown plays. So what does that mean for Detroit? And is it Tom Kennedy? Is it going to be Rucci, who they just picked up from Miami? Who's going to eat for Detroit other than Williams?
If St. Brown doesn't go, the guy you Isaac Tesla. Once Brown went down and very early last week, Tesla was on the field the entire game. This is the starter for them opposite Jamison Williams, who is also, by the way, a very good play, but we have way more value in Tesla. Tesla's numbers, by the way, we're going to play the over 33.5 receiving yards. We are also going to look at the anytime touchdown plus 200 and longest catch 18.5 yards. I'll try to hit all of this stuff. Last week, Tesla ran routes on 94% of the Lions passing plays. So again, he's the starter. Khalif Raymond is out. for the anytime touchdown. Get this, and it's a small sample size because Tesla hasn't been on the field very much, but nevertheless, Isaac Tesla has the highest end zone target rate in the entire league. Granted, it's only 11 targets this year, but 4 of his 11 targets were in the end zone. Clearly, the Lions are comfortable throwing to Tesla in the end zone, which is why I like the anytime touchdown plus 200. Tesla is a downfield threat. He has the 9th longest average distance of target at 16 yards. Again, small sample size, just 11 targets. Still, I will take it. The Dallas secondary, 5th worst in completion rate on deep passes, 44% completion rate. Dallas, dead last in touchdowns allowed on deep passes. They've already given up 8 on deep passes, 20 or more yards. And finally, Dallas ranks dead last in yards allowed on deep passes. They've given up 817 yards just on passes of 20 or more yards, dead last in the league. Roll all that together. I want a starter who's going to be on the field the whole game. That's Isaac Tesla. We're going to hit him 3 different ways for potentially a big game tonight.
Man, that is so good. Love it. As we continue here with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian, he's on the Progressive Guest Line. What do you make of the ground game tonight for both of these teams? Gibbs, Montgomery on the Detroit side, and also Javonte Williams here for the Cowboys.
These are really, really tough matchups, and particularly for Javonte Williams. And Williams, one of the few workhorse backs, and we love the fact that he gets virtually all the work for Dallas, and there's real value to that. But quietly, Detroit is a great run defense. No runner has topped 83 yards all year. The Lions have only allowed 1 rushing touchdown since week 4. Now, Williams doesn't catch much, but I'll also note that the Lions haven't allowed a receiving touchdown all year. This is a tough spot for Javonte Williams. He's got volume on his side. He is playing legitimately really well, but this is a brutal matchup, and I think this is one just to avoid both from a fantasy and a betting standpoint.
Okay, let's move on to Sunday. I was fairly convinced the Steelers were going to have a good game on the ground against the Buffalo Bills, but they never had the ball in the first half because their defense was so bad, and I was wrong. Warren and Gainwell combined to do nothing. I kind of want to attack it the same way this week with Chase Brown. What say you?
I'm really interested in Chase Brown here. You and I talked in the preseason about Chase Brown and how much we liked his forthcoming season, which looked like a terrible take for about the first 5 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. Then Joe Flacco shows up, and now Chase Brown, suddenly when there's a passing game, Chase Brown can do something. In the Flacco and Burrow games, Chase Brown, being the player we thought we were going to get all year, he's averaging almost 6 yards per carry since week 7. And the Buffalo run defense, shockingly bad. His number here is only 48.5 rushing yards. This feels like one he could cruise over and you could ladder up. 11 different backs have topped Chase Brown's line against Buffalo this year, 48.5 yards. That includes recent performances by Sean Tucker, Rashad White, Woody Marks. Those are not household names. And frankly, none of them are as good as Chase Brown is. Here's some Buffalo run defense stats for you just from the last month. But I'll note here that really this is all true for the whole season, but I just want to make sure you don't think that there's an overall bias in here. We'll look at just the last month of Buffalo run defense stats. 29th in yards per carry allowed, 31st in run defense DPA, 21st in run defense success rate, 27th in missed tackles, 30th in yards after contact. The Buffalo run defense is terrible. And if you look at the primary culprit for why Buffalo is struggling this season, this is why. They're seeing 27 runs per game. Chase Brown's going to get almost all that for Cincinnati. If Brown's going to see 18 to 20 carries at 5 to 6 yards per carry, he's going to fly past 48.5 yards. Samaje Perine was involved last week, but that was a blowout, and Perine looked awful, and he fumbled. He's not going to be a factor in this game. I would like Chase Brown for the anytime touchdown, but he's only plus 105. There's not a ton of value there. Way easier. The better value here is Chase Brown started 48.5 rushing yards, ladder up against Buffalo.
Excellent. We don't have time for this one, but you also like Brock Bowers to go over 57.5 for the Raiders as they take on the Broncos this week as well. Charch, you're the best. Love talking to you every single week. Thanks for the time. Best of luck here.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Back at you. And you can follow him on X at Paul Charchian, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer here on the Progressive Guest Line.
If you have what it takes to beat Mike Somich, get up to first bet right now. You can take down Mike Somich in a 5-race showdown this Saturday. We're going Gulfstream and 4 graded stakes at Aqueduct. Submit your $2 win place mythical picks and try to end the day with more money than Mike. And you can split the $5,000 grand prize right to your first bet account It opens today. First.com/VSiN. Free to enter. Bragging rights included. $5,000 on the line. Go get them. First.com/VSiN. And beat Mike Somich.
Somich is going to be hosting the show with me tomorrow. You're off, day of vacation.
Yeah.
By the way, as Chark was talking, I found plus 138 Pickens anytime touchdown. Had to take some.
Concur.
Shop around.
Concur.
Up next, professional sports bettor Brad Powers on the program.